Assalamu alaikum. This video is very important for you if you are admin or user or trainer or trainee, if you are a project manager giving instructions to the planners or schedulers. This video is very important for you all because you need to understand your actions and what undo can do or not. Let's start by this simple example. I am in this project, right click, delete, yes, delete, confirming, and of course it tell you in this confirming and warning, you can't undo deleting this project at all. If you open edit, there is no undo. Now this is the most dangerous action. It might seem to you that this is the action you can do and it will be a disaster if you delete a project you work for hours and days. But also there is other big disasters you can do in Primavera and you can't undo it. There is many and I will explain them one by one. I create this project now, okay? And if you go edit, there is no undo again, even creating and adding a project. Now let's call it and go edit. Also there is nothing, it's there. If you go of this, for example, nothing. If you change the ID to undo one, notice the mistake I did here, 2 capital letters. Go edit, there is no undo. However, you can go and change them if you have the privilege to do so. It depends on your user security profile. You might not have the privilege to delete or to edit. Some of you, working in their laptops or computers and they have their license and they are working in standalone version, so they will not notice that. But this is very important for people who work with companies who they have multi-users and the users need to understand their limits and also to understand if there is a mistake, they need to return back to the admins. And this will be not good for everyone, especially if there is a big deleting of a project or something. So as general, in projects, the red color in projects which are reversible is deleting a project. The other ones, you can redo them again, which is, wasting of time. Or you need to refer to the admin to change it for you. So that's all. You have here also in the codes, if you assign a code, okay, to projects, and then you remove them from here, there is no undo, of course, but you remove from the project. But if you remove from the project, if you go for a project which is ready with some project codes and you remove them, there is no undo for that. And you need to go back to the admin to create for you the codes maybe. Let me add this, for example. Okay, this project. And if I go assign this code and then I remove it, if I am allowed to remove, okay, from here, I might not have access to it again to assign it. So this assign might inactive also. So you need to be careful in the projects in all cases, okay? So projects is red for deleting anything, and it's orange for editing and other commands if you have privilege. If you are just a user, it is still full red for projects tab. Now, if I go to resource tab, similarly to projects, it is dangerous if you delete a resource which is assigned to other projects. Now, some of you might say, no, but we have undo for deleting resources. Yes, you think so? Okay, let me show you. Let me add this resource here. It's a new resource name. Okay. Now, if I go to edit, there is undo add resource. Very good. If I click here, it will delete this new resource. Very good. Okay. Now, let me not undo it. Let me go and delete it. So I delete it. It tells me, are you sure you want to delete the scheduled resource? Thank you, Primavera, Oracle Primavera, to have this warning before we do it. If I will press yes, delete it. So no more project there, the resource there. Now if I go to edit, I can return it back. Very good. Wonderful. But, sorry, if you go to enterprise and let's say user defined field, and you want to do there something, and then you said, oh, no, let me close it. I don't want to do anything. And then you go edit. Oh, undo finished, disappeared. Even if you go enterprise and, user defined field and did some work here or not, opening this window, clear all your undo history. So the resource you just deleted now, you can't retrieve it. You can't get it back. Why? Because nothing. The undo is not there. Now imagine this resource is assigned to many projects and you don't know how many hours and how many days and where they are actually. It will be a full disaster for you to do that. You know what's the solution for this? If your database is, live backup and the admin can retrieve it for 1 hour ago, for example. Okay? And that means if there is other users who they are doing updates or are working on it, at the same time, they will lose this productivity. So it's a big issue. It's not easy to depend on undo. Of course, you will not have the privilege. But if you have the privilege as admin and you are exhausted and you forgot, oh my God, it's a big issue and it's a big problem. So resources also still a red area for deleting resources. Because of this, we have limited people dealing with resources, especially if they are global resources. It's a very big thing. Okay? So projects, resources are still big, red. And if I am the admin, limited people will work here. Now, if I go to reports is totally red, okay, because there is no undo in it at all. If I go create a report, it shows whatever it is, whatever, save the report, okay, and finish. Now it creates this report. If you go to edit undo, there is no undo at all. If you make editing for the name, again, no undo. If you right click and deleting, there is no undo. Now imagine if the privilege here by mistake allowing you to delete one of your organization main reports. It's a big work. It's important work. So reports also, it's a red area which you can't depend on undo at all. If I go now to tracking is viewing different projects, different views, and whatever you do here is just reviewing. So you are not deleting, you are not changing anything, you are just changing views and monitoring. So undo here is relative to this. If I go to resource assignments here, and let's do this step by step, okay? If I am in this project and I assign activity with the same resource I have now, which is Ziad Albasir, if I go to edit, there is undo for this activity adding with this under this resources. If I go and add a resource, whatever it is under one activity, and then delete that, again, you can undo the delete. Okay. Okay. So let's delete it because I don't want it in this project for this resources. So here you can do this assigning and reassigning and deleting. However, if you delete some resources here, tell you there is a resource assignment have actuals. And this is very important. That means this is an updated project and you are deleting an updated project. That's very dangerous. So you tell him no, definitely no. If I go add a resource, add activity under this resource, and then if, for example, if I have this assignment for, for this resource in different projects, and I come and, adding another activity, okay? So I have D and I have B here, and I go delete them, okay? And he asked me, do you want to delete them? Yes, I do want to delete them. Now there is an edit and do delete, but if I go again to another one like project codes window and just open it and close it and go back to edit, it disappear. So I can't undo it now because this window delete or clear the undo history. So again, you need to be careful what you are doing because it might be reversible or reversible actually. Okay, and this is for resource assignment. So resource assignment is orange, but you need to be careful. Now, work processes and documents. If you notice here, you have add and you have delete also immediately. If you have the privilege to delete, that's okay in this area. You will add and delete, you will add and delete. But if you have that delete privilege, if you don't have, you need to go back to your admin to do it for you. Okay, so here it's okay. You delete and add. So WBS and documents are orange. Okay. Now if I go to expenses, now if you add expenses here to this activity and you go to edit, you see there is no undo for it. Okay. If you delete it, it tell you clearly this cannot be undone. This cannot be undone. Yes, you go edit, it's disappear. Now, if you are deleting an expenses which is already in a project, it's a big disaster because you need to return it back to the same activity which assigned to it, which you might not know what is it. So it's very critical in this, and I consider this as orange, but with the privilege issue, you need to be careful about it. Now, if you go to risks, risk is similar to the project expenses. It might be assigned to activities, and you open it, and then you delete, and you go to edit. There is no undo, and if you delete it, it tells you, do you want to remove this risk? Yes, but if it is assigned to activities for certain within the project, then you need to be careful about it. Okay, let's add again a risk. Now here you can change them and assign it to activity, for example. Okay, if you go to edit, there is nothing. Okay, but let me show you something here. Notes, impacts. If you see high, still also undo, there is nothing there. So far, risk is an orange, project expenses orange, but careful, which means careful. Orange, 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 or orange, yes. And report is red, resource red, WBS. We didn't discuss WBS, and let's discuss WBS. Now, if I add a WBS here, and I go edit, there is no undo. If I delete what I just did, it tell me this cannot be undone. And I say yes. Now, if this WBS has activities, it will be a big disaster for you because you delete WBS might connect it with other WBSs, and it's a big disaster for you if you have the privilege to do it and by mistake you think you can undo it. Here, it can't be done. So WBS is a total red. Big, big, big red, okay, for the WBS. Similarly to the project deleting. Now, the last one here is activities. Now, I have this project which I presented in the previous video on resource leveling and scheduling by resources without relationships. And let me add an activity here. Now, I add this activity and I have edit. Now, it's okay. You have it. Very good. I have it. I have it. I have it. In activities in general, edit is there for adding or deleting an activity or changing the name. It's there. Okay. However, this change is related to general status, resources, predecessors, successors, and that's it. When you reach to codes, here it becomes very critical. If you assign and remove, then you need to be sure that you are doing the right thing. Because if I see assign here, and let's filter by all values, and let's change this, check it, and we have this. Now tell me edit and do add activity. It didn't refer to the code's assignments at all. So as soon as you come to this code tab, it's red. Here it's green. For all of that, you can manage it, okay? But still be careful. Now we add this. Now I can remove it, of course. It's okay. Now imagine you have a schedule come to you to review or to do something, and then you delete the assigned code, and you don't remember what is it. There is no undo for that. There is no undo for that. The undo still undo add activity. Now in discussion, now this is big, big, big red. If you have an opinion you want to write to someone, and you say, okay, F word, for example, and you are joking with someone, your colleagues, and you say post, everyone on the team will see that. And you can't delete it. Okay? You can't delete it. It's a message, it's an email sent, no retrieval. Finito. So this post for anything in the discussion and the feedback, it's gone. It's an email gone, will be seen by everyone, and you are, joking with your friend or whatever, or you are upset with someone and you send a hot message. Oh my God. Everyone will see it. Everyone will see this message, and you can't retrieve it, you can't delete it, you can't do anything about it. Okay? Now don't let this fool you, because this delete is for this activity, yeah? It's not for the post. Are you sure you want to delete the selected activity? No, yes, delete it. Okay? Now you delete the activity and you delete the comment inside the activity. Now imagine this is a baseline, or imagine this is an updated project and you are doing this post. Now again, you have this activity. Let's do F and post it. You can't delete the activity. It's part of the project. You are making a comment about an existing approved activity. Okay? If you delete this activity, you might delete the updates. You might, you will delete the links. You will mess up with everything. So the only way to clear these comments is deleting the related activity, which is not accepted, or you might have not the privilege, and even if you are the admin and having the privilege, you can't delete it because it's approved already by the client. And expenses, you have add and delete, which is okay. Feedback, similarly, Let's go for the, no, I don't, no, I don't accept it. Okay, and you send it. Now, this is relating to this activity. And someone else sending a reply and say, you should, sorry, you should. This is not accepted. And you go add. Now, of course, if it should, this is usually come from a user, and here it comes from another user. Here, because it's the same, you know, I am logging in the same, but if I log out and logging in with another user, I can come here and make feedback and the same to that. So this one, all these written messages are reviewed by everyone, and you can delete it at all. You can delete it at all. So if you have an opinion here, technical opinion, for example, and it's wrong, it will be scandal. The only way to go is deleting that activity. And if you delete the activity, it will delete the post. But if it is part of the baseline or work done or an updated under progress activity, it's a big problem. In notebook, the same. Okay, you can add and delete, so it's okay, no issues here if you have the privilege to do so. Relationships is okay. Risk, add and delete the same. Steps. Now steps, if you add a step here and you add another one and another one and you go to edit, it's undo delete activity. It's not related to steps. So there is no undo for this except you go and check them or it's highlighted and delete and delete and delete. Now, if it is part of updated one, it's a disaster for you. Okay? If it is just a schedule came to you and there is steps and you by mistakes you delete them, there is no undo for that. Okay? Now, if we go to summary, summary is just a display and view, so there is nothing important about undo here. Okay? Here, editing the activity, it's similar to editing the activity here, so it doesn't matter for you. It's edit, undo, modify activities, that's okay in these tabs, but under here is just view, so it doesn't matter what you do here. The work processes and documents is similar to what we did before. It's assign and remove, and that's it. Okay, so it's okay for us. Now I finished all the tabs in Primavera and showed that activities is green partially and then red in the remaining. Projects, I would consider it totally red. WBS totally red. Resources orange. Reports red. Tracking doesn't matter. It's orange, I would say it, or it's green, doesn't matter. Resources, it's orange, but with the privileged security profiles, it's it should be for the right things. Otherwise, I will make it red. Resource assignment is orange. Here it's orange, and here it's orange, and here is orange. Okay. Now, if you go back to the activities, which we depends a lot on undo issues. Now, if you are working really deep in a project and then you make relationships and setting up the schedule and doing scheduling and this and that, okay? And after 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours of work, you think, oh, you did something wrong and you need to go edit, undo. But you come to this, you know, one of this nice windows, which if you open it, it will clear the undo history. So let me go highlight what had been explained in the other video in very short time about windows which clear the undo history. So what I explain in this presentation is very simple. The only recommendation is to think like you don't have undo in Primavera P6 at all. So think twice before hitting enter. However, you should be aware about the information as I will see you, I will give you now. Undo is different in global and projects. In projects, there is a way to do permanent actions which there is no undo, and some actions you need to change it by editing or removing or deleting if you have privilege. In projects also you have the activities which you can change as we explained before. In the global also you have permanent, like deleting a project or deleting a WBS, and there is actions which you can change it if you want. Now, the important notes for non-admins is like this. Never depends on undo. There is no redo. There are actions which you can't change it at all. If you are a user, it depends on your privilege in Primavera security profile. You might not have privilege to delete or remove, so no undo to your actions in most cases. Read what I wrote here carefully in your time, and let's go to the next one. Now, here, what does it mean? Be careful, no undo and undo. If you notice here, I don't put the green because there is really no green. It's a changing thing. So you do it and you edit it or you remove it. The green ones is only in the activities 4 or 5 tabs. So in the tools, if you open any of these windows, which is red, and here in enterprise, also the red ones, if you open all these reds, it will clear the history of the undo in the system. So don't depend on the undo. You are working in undo and then you open one of these windows, it will immediately clear the undo history. Okay? You might try them. I mean, we saw that already, and you might try them by yourself one by one. Now, in some windows, like we did in the projects codes or users or security profile, if you just open it and close it, it might not have the impact. But it's funny things when the OPS, if you open the window, it will clear the history. If you work in the OPS, it will not clear the history. It's funny, but this is what is there. Global change, similarly, if you open it, it will not clear the history, but if you work on it, it will clear the history. So the opposite. So it's funny, if it is me, I will consider all of this are red. Okay? And let's go for the second and third and fourth menus. Here, user security profiles, admin preference, if it is opened and you work on it, it will clear the undo history. The same thing, if you use delete here, it will not be undone because you need to be careful delete here what you are doing. If it is activity, it's okay. If it is a resource, it's okay. But sometimes it's more dangerous than what you think. So don't depend on it. I will consider delete is a red button. Don't use it unless you know what you are doing. Similarly to dissolve relationship and user preference, it will clear the undo history. Now for view and projects, view is okay, it's orange. Even, you can change whatever you want. It will not impact what you do. It's not permanent. In projects, it's also the same. You can do, but it's orange. You can change if you do some mistakes, if you have privilege. So we come here to conclude this training. As we said, there is actions which is permanent. You can't undo them, like feedback, discussions, unless you delete the activities related to it, which is not possible in most cases. Deleting a project, deleting a WBS, it's permanent. The only way to retrieve them is to ask the admin to retrieve the backup database in his system, and this might delete other people's works. So it's also dangerous. In the other areas, some windows will clear the undo history. And if it clears the undo history, you can't undo them again, especially some dangerous deleting for resources. It might be assigned to another project. So you need to be careful on that. You might undo deleting the resource, but In some cases, if you go to another command, it will clear the history of undo, then you can't retrieve it back. And if you redo them again, you need to know where they are assigned, and this is impossible, to be honest with you. If they are assigned for the history for the last 2 years or 3 years, you will not know where they are. So you need to be careful. So going back to the recommendations, never depends on undo. There is no redo. There are actions which you can't change at all. If you are a user, it depends on your privilege in Primavera and security profile. You might not have privilege to delete or remove, so no undo to your actions in most cases. If you are using SQLite, you should have all privileges, but some menus will look differently slightly to the presented menus in the video. Be aware, some actions also are undoable. Before deleting or removing anything, be sure about what you are doing. Make a backup before actions. If you are using SQLite, for example, and you delete a project, you can't retrieve it. Maybe in the other database you can, but not in SQLite. Okay? Create an EBS called backup. Always keep backups for schedules before major works on it. I suggest making an indicator if it is a backup and not used as main schedule. This is also a job of the administrator to allow you to have this EPS. Create an EPS called also trash for deleted projects, or call it deleted projects. So you never delete a project, just move it rather than deleting. Every 3 months you can clean them. Be careful before opening some commands. It will clear undo history. I mentioned before a few seconds about SQLite not, retrieving a deleted project, but if you are setting up your system for the SQLite with a job and a backup actually option, you might have a backup, and this backups it might retrieve what you deleted, and you need to be sure about this. There is some ways to do that. Okay, now that was the conclusion of undo. Never think there is undo, never depends on it. This is Ziad Albasir. I hope you get very good information on this training. Please subscribe and activate your subscription to get another tips and another lessons in Primavera P6.